From the Apopco Studios in Oklahoma City, this is an OSU update. I'm Jenny Carlson. Gina Mizell joins us on the phone. And Gina, the national championship game on Monday night had some eyes from the state of Oklahoma, as you might suspect, but some Cowboys that were probably watching that game thinking about next year's season opener. Obviously, Oklahoma State opening down at AT&T Stadium where they played the Cotton Bowl, but they're playing against Florida State, now the defending national champions. You wrote a lot about this in the Wednesday Oklahoman and on News OK. What, in your mind, is most intriguing about this matchup? I mean, obviously it's the defending national champions, but I mean, this is a big-time ball game that's going to be played out next year in the season opener.
Yeah, well, from Oklahoma State's perspective, it's going to be an immediate gauge, which is the phrase that athletic director Mike Holder used, of just how this program is being built. Obviously, this is a team that's going to be reloading a lot next year, or rebuilding with a new starting quarterback, several new playmakers on offense, and then defensively having to replace 7 starters. And, I mean, recruiting has been strong for Oklahoma State, and the development process has been strong, but we're going to see right away, how this new era or this new group of Cowboys is ready to compete, and they're going to go right up against the best team in the country in that first game.
I thought Mike Holder had some interesting comments about the fact that these are invitation-only type of games, and if you don't accept them, they might stop calling. But in this new era of college football playoff, it's not necessarily a bad deal to maybe have that marquee non-conference game that you could potentially stumble in. I thought he was pretty open about the fact that this may be a new era of scheduling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he kind of pulled back the curtain a little bit and talked about how this whole game started, and it was a thing that ESPN kind of asked him about it in 2010, and originally Oklahoma State declined, and then just kind of kept coming back. What about Florida State? What about Florida State? And eventually Mike Holder was like, okay, let's do it. And so they obviously signed off on the deal in 2012 during the season. And, now they knew that Florida State would be good, but maybe not this good. But, yeah, I mean, this is a game for Oklahoma State where they've got nothing to lose, and it's going to just be a really good test, obviously, right out of the gate, and a chance to play in front of a national television audience. And a lot of them, I'm sure, will be tuning in to see the Seminoles for the first time in the season, but they're still going to be exposed to the Oklahoma State logo and Oklahoma State stuff, and so there are a lot of benefits, obviously, outside of the football field.
You mentioned earlier the fact that Oklahoma State, on both sides of the ball, is going to be replacing several guys, looking for new stars, new star power, that sort of thing. And one guy they're going to be looking to replace that was sort of unexpected because he wasn't a senior is Josh Stewart. He declares that he's heading to the NFL draft, foregoing his last season in Stillwater. Was this a surprise, Gina?
I mean, maybe not so much now after he sort of floated the idea during Cotton Bowl Media Day, but on that day I was surprised. I'll be totally honest with that, just because he's not, he doesn't look like an NFL guy at first glance. He's 5'10", 185 pounds, and yes, so the slot receivers, the Wes Welker type of guys, there's certainly a place for them in the NFL, but he even admitted that when he got his evaluation back that he was viewed as a 4th through 7th round pick. So it's not like he was a surefire first rounder or second day pick or something along those lines. So I think Stewart's obviously taken a big risk in going to the draft, but I talked to him last night and he seemed pretty content with his decision, that he's all in and that this is what he wants to do. And obviously he's kind of got a family situation and a background story that several people know about him relocating after Hurricane Katrina, being raised by his grandparents, and he also has a young son now, a 1-year-old. So you can kind of see maybe some of the off-the-field stuff that would lead in this direction. But he said most of all, the number one thing is that he just feels like he can play in the NFL, that he can find a spot with a team that needs a shifty slot receiver or a punt returner, a guy on special teams that can make a lot of plays. So that's why he's going to the next level. And
we'll be following that as well as the rest of the players from Oklahoma State and Oklahoma as they head towards the draft later this spring. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.